Hey, Tasha here with Emerge Sales Training. We give hope, confidence, and skills to network marketers of all levels who want to help people. Today, I want to talk to you about how to build insane mutual trust and respect on your team. Now, before we get into that, as you watch some of the different videos that we do here, you may want to enroll in one of our courses. So you can check out our courses at emergesalestraining.com/courses. Courses range anywhere from $12 to $1,000, depending on how comprehensive. So you can go to emergesalestraining.com/courses to check that out. So today I want to talk to you about how to build insane trust and respect on your team. And it's a team building exercise that has had results above and beyond what I could have ever expected. So I run a virtual team, and I'm thinking that many of you do as well. And I have managed virtual teams for a really, really long time. And so this is something that I've always felt I was pretty good at, creating team camaraderie in multiple locations and such. But I didn't realize that there was still so much more room for me to improve. And you can still have there's a difference between mutual friendship and mutual trust and respect. So this is an essential part, specifically having a united leadership team. So I want you to think about the top people on your network marketing team. Are they united? Are they cohesive? Are they all going in the same direction? Do they trust each other? And do they respect each other enough to have each other's back? So I have been reading the book The Advantage by Pat Lencioni. I think that's the right way you say his name. It's called The Advantage. And in it, there are 4 things that we need to do as leaders to provide a thriving organizational culture. So this would exist in any very large corporation, a small business like myself, or a network marketing business. So number 1 is a cohesive leadership team. Number 2, establish clarity. Number 3, communicate clarity. Number 4, over communicate clarity. And so I thought, well, I should start with number 1. And so I have 3 members on my leadership team, 4 including me, and then I have technically my coach. I kind of count in that. She was not involved in this. And so we had the ultimate bonding experience. So a few weeks ago, or several weeks ago, I guess, by the time this airs, we were all in San Diego for a conference. So we took a little time out from that conference and we did these exercises. So here's the exercise. Oh, actually, let me back up a little bit. So last summer, everybody came in. We'd had a really amazing quarter. I wanted to treat them well and reward them. And so we actually flew everyone into Southern California. We went to a winery nearby, did like a spa day, went out to a fancy dinner, and in general hung out. And they got spoiled for 2 days. And it was really, really fun. And there was bonding and friendship that formed. We laughed together, and it was really, really fun. But none of that compared to what I saw when we were in San Diego. So here's the exercise. Which sibling are you in the lineup? And then what is one challenge that you overcame as a child? Or what's the most interesting thing you did as a child? And we went around the room. Now, for myself, as more of a public figure than my team, I have had, I don't know if I'd call it the opportunity or the curse, I don't know which one you call it, to be a lot more public with my past triumphs and failures than most people do. And so I didn't really get how powerful this was going to be, because for me, they all knew my biggest challenge when I was young, and that was this massive, this fatal car accident I was in when I was 16. And so they were like, okay, you go first, leaders go first. So I did mine, and they were like, yeah, we know this story. And so then they went around the room. I'm not going to share the stories. That's not my place. These are confidential stories. They're pretty deep, and every single person shared things that, despite me knowing them and feeling like I knew them really, really well, I had no clue to the extent that this shaped them. And so I was just sitting there. I mean, my jaw was dropped. On the StrengthsFinder assessment, I think a lot of people have taken that. I am out of 34 strengths, my number 33 is empathy. And so I actually I was really uncomfortable in this situation. But the rest of them, they're big mush balls. And so they're all hugging and cry. I don't know if they were crying, but, close, like really, really touched and connected. And what happened was just remarkable. What I found is the four of us just look at each other differently. We look at each other as people that can overcome great challenges, and the amount that it bolstered our confidence as far as overcoming our next challenge as a sales training company was just amazing. And what I've seen in the past few weeks is, while we always had this friendship, the respect and the let me work with you on that together, the support that has happened has just really, really been phenomenal. And what I noticed is that I didn't know these things because it doesn't come up in conversation, right? You can know someone really, really well, and it's, how was your weekend? What are you doing? What's bugging you? And you can know they're present really, really well. And so when I think about Joelle, I've known her several years. I've known Karen several years, Kristen just a couple years. But I mean, we talk so much. I feel like I know them, except never do we say, what was the most challenging thing you experienced in childhood? Like, tell me about, and I'm just generalizing, just pulling one out. Like, tell me about this, like, catastrophic thing that happened in your family. Like, what's the catastrophic thing that happened in your family that shaped everything about the way you are? What was so interesting is that the way we related with each other made 100% sense based on the stories that each person told. And so the story that, it just explained everything about the relationship, how they showed up at work, because it was the biggest thing about who they were. And it was just really, really so cool. And I wanted to share that with you because I know that when we have teams, sometimes things can get disjointed, but team culture is a leadership skill, and it is up to you to define what type of team culture do you want. Do you want one where everyone's on their own, or do you want one where everyone has each other's back? And when we know each other in ways that other people don't know each other, it creates this mutual respect and trust. We respect each other's competence because we've seen that they have overcome so much more than whatever the business problem at hand is. The other piece of this exercise is just to take some sort of assessment that kind of like a personality profile. So we have worked, ever since I started Emerge, we've worked heavily with the StrengthsFinder assessment. And so we unlocked everybody's all 34, and we went through and we just had a good laugh about who we were and who we weren't. And the reason this is powerful is because of this concept called the fundamental attribution error. And so what that means is, when something is hard for us, we tend to blame the environment, the circumstances. But when someone else has a flaw, we blame the person, instead of just looking at it as might be environment or it might be something else. And so we give ourselves a lot more grace when we make mistakes than we give others. Once you do an assessment and you say, hey, this is just who I am, then it removes the judgment from when we do really well, right? Or when we make errors. So to give an example, in the experience, because I have empathy is not a strength of mine, I was incredibly uncomfortable. And to take the tension out of the room, I laid on the ground in the fetal position and kind of like joked at how uncomfortable I was. Now, that was really that uncomfortable. But because of fundamental attribution error, if I would have just responded to that like that with people that didn't understand who I was and who I wasn't, then it would, I mean, obviously, if it wasn't an appropriate place to do that and I didn't know that they would get it and smile, I wouldn't have done it, right? I would not be disrespectful. But if I responded with like this just cold stare of, I don't even know how to handle this and I'm never bringing this up again, and then we just have to end this conversation, and they didn't know that on my assessment, empathy was number 33 and I just can't even deal with this, then their feelings might have been hurt. But because they just knew who I was and who I wasn't, it helped to take the things that I'm not good at and just kind of they become more neutral as opposed to something that is hurtful. And I think that's why it's so powerful to go through some sort of assessment. I think a lot of people are using the StrengthsFinder. I think that's great. I think there's a lot you can do with the top 5. I think there's even more you can do with awareness around the 34. And that, I think, is something that's really, really good to explain your superpower and your kryptonite. What was also really cool about this assessment is we took our strengths and we put them into categories: the relationship category, executing, influencing, and strategic. And what we found when we organized our top few strengths, we have a relationship superpower here at Emerge. What was good is that we built our company on that, but we decided that we were going to really double down on that. And so far, it's been really, really great for all of us. It's filled all of us up to be able to do that. So that is how to build insane trust on your team. So what I would recommend is to grab your leadership team together and just have this talk, right? What was the biggest challenge that you overcame, and what are your strengths and what are not? And the first that challenges thing, because it's just each person telling a story, is 4 of us. We did that in under an hour. There's more trust built in that hour than in the past year and a half. And that is incredibly remarkable. And so I hope that you'll take that tip and go for it. Now, of course, balance it with whatever other things you have going on. This week might not be the right time, but it's definitely something you can plan out, because a cohesive leadership team is what's going to feed your organizational culture and your network marketing business. So I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions on this or any comments, go ahead and just comment below. If you would like to check out our courses, you can go to emergesalestraining.com/courses. And I think that's it for this video. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon.